Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is David Walker. I'm the director of the Shasta-Cascade Small Business Development Center, and welcome to our little presentation on the SBA's 504 loan program. Let me keep admitting people. Emily, can you admit people as they come in? Thanks. Anyway, appreciate you joining us. The way these things are structured are we have a presentation about the Small Business Administration and some of the programs that are available to you as a small business, both during the pandemic or as a result of the pandemic, and their standard programs like the 7A and the 504. And then we'll go into detail on the 504. Our presenter is going to be Joe Radola and possibly Bob Nash. We'll see if he's going to be able to make it, but we'll get started and we'll go from there. Next slide, Joe. There we go. Okay, a little bit about us real quick. Shasta Small Business Development Center. There's an SBDC near you, no matter where you're at in the United States. This particular SBDC that we're associated with is located in Northern California, and we cover Shasta and Trinity counties. We provide completely no cost consulting and advisory services, and either no cost or very, very little cost training to small businesses. We're funded by the Small Business Administration, and in our case, the state of California. But there is an SBDC office near you. So if you're not in Shasta or Trinity counties of California, two things. I'm sure you're disappointed. And the second thing is just check Google, and you can find an SBDC office near you that covers your area. There's nearly 1,000 of them across the country. Next slide, Joe. This is our team. We're a bunch of really good-looking people that have a lot of diverse experience in business, and we also have access to about 40 other additional subject matter experts in the area. So pretty much whatever questions you have for your business, we can find the answers for you. And again, all our services, our advisory services for you, are free. They're no charge to you at all. And then we have a legal thing that I have to go through, or they slap me upside the head really, really painfully. The information provided in this webinar and anything we tell you are for educational and informational purposes only and do not constitute professional or legal advice. No registrant should act or fail to act on the basis of any material contained in this webinar without proper financial, legal, or other professional advice specific to your situation. Northern California Small Business Development Center, its host, the Humboldt State University Sponsored Programs Foundation, specifically disclaims any liability, loss, or risk, personal or otherwise, which is incurred as a consequence, directly or indirectly, of the use or application of any of the information presented in this webinar. So there. Yeah. This is actually it is important, or the attorneys tell us it's important. So anyway, that's a disclaimer. You're going to be given a copy of these slides, and you're going to be given a link to the recording of this webinar so that you can refer to it at your leisure. And I believe that's it. What's the next slide look like, Joe? All right, I'm going to turn it over to Joe Radola. He'll be the main presenter for the morning.
Thanks, David, very much. It's me, Joe Radola. Welcome, everybody. Nice to have you with us today. I'm the lead advisor for the Shasta-Cascade SBDC. As David mentioned, we cover Shasta and Trinity County. And as you can see by my background and experience, I'm an old credit guy, all right? Spent a lot of years in commercial banking, made business loans for 20 years. I've owned my own small sole proprietorship business for now 10 years. I got to adjust that. And now 8 years experience with small business advising for both Superior California Economic Development and SBDC. So today we're going to cover first an SBA overview. This will cover a lot of what's going on with the various disaster loan programs that are available. And by the way, all SBDC offices can guide you through the steps if you get hung up on any of these loan programs. So based on your geographic area, where you're located, you can look up an SBDC office and we can help you through these. And then we're going to cover the cool thing about the SBA 504 loan program, otherwise known as the best kept secret in lending. So let's start with the overview first. These are the main COVID-19 related economic aid funding options through SBA and its affiliates, okay? Got the Paycheck Protection, otherwise known as the PPP. We've got debt relief on the loans, 7A and 504, we'll talk about that. We got the EIDL, otherwise known as the EIDL, Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program and Targeted Advance. We've got the SVOG, Shuttered Venue, and the Restaurant Revitalization. All of those are currently cooking in some fashion as we speak. So we'll start with the PPP loan program first. There's several slides in here. I'm going to be able to kind of jump through relatively fast because on this first slide, as you can see, it says you must apply before May 31, 2021. But we've been told last week by the SBA that funding has all but run out already, okay? So here's the thought. We've done some research here locally in the last day or so and come up with the possibility that Lendistry.com, Lendistry, they actually were the certifying and processing group for the State of California grant. Their PPP, Paycheck Protection Loan Program portal, is still up and active, okay? So there may be a few of these non-bank processors that still have availability of funding through the PPP loan program. Also, if you're pending your second application, because this is theoretically Paycheck Protection Program 2, okay? If you're pending, you're okay. They've allocated money for that particular loan, even though you may not have the money yet, okay? So don't fear if you're in the queue, as they say. But for new applications, it's going to be limited until Washington does something about it. So again, the Paycheck Protection Program could be for any business really of any type, sole proprietors, corporations, was mainly designed to help pay for payroll, rent, and lights. That's basically what it was designed to do. And here are your newly eligible payment options as well for eligible types of businesses on the Paycheck Protection 2 program. 501c3s still not eligible. Still eligible. C19 still eligible, veteran organizations. And some 501c6 organizations like Chambers of Commerce were added during the number 2 processing time period. And this just gives you some of the actual, approval processes. You had to have suffered at least a 25% reduction in gross receipts between 19 and 20 in one quarter. And you have to have under 300 employees, which most people really fall under. And again, if you're a sole proprietor, you're just by yourself, don't have staff or employees, you still will qualify for this program. And again, this is just eligibility requirements for second draw. Any questions that you have about your particular situation, if you're still interested in pursuing the PPP, please check with your SBDC office. We can offer advice for you at no charge, no catch, no charge. And most of us, like myself and David, have been working with these things since March of last year. We've had almost a full year of experience under our belts assisting small businesses with the process of these things. These loans are processed by a financial institution SBA performs the payoff of the loan based upon your usage. So these loans turn into a grant based on the fact that you used them appropriately. Okay, and you have to prove it. You have to prove it. So you'll apply, you'll get the funding, you'll have 8 to 24 weeks to spend it. You report back how you spent it. And if it was used appropriately, SBA will cover the loan. You owe nothing. Pretty quick, pretty cool loan. Application process in, find a lender. Online application on Lendistries is an online portal. And SBA then guarantees and issues the loan and does the payback to the financial institution. If you owe money that isn't considered forgivable, right? Maybe you use some of the funds for something other than payroll, rent and lights, electricity, so forth. Turns into a 1% loan, okay? It's really good. It's a fixed rate loan too. It doesn't move. That's about, nobody gets 1% loans. That's cheap, okay? No fees, no prepayment penalties, no collateral requirement, no personal guarantees. And on the new program, 5-year maturities, okay? So 5-year maturities. And again, updates on economic aid, the impact on the loans, you have to use it. And they deduct, if you have other products, they deduct it from the forgiveness portion, especially if you received an advance on the EIDL last year. So you have to be careful if you're going after the advance grant increase, it may have an effect on your PPP. All right, so there's the economic injury disaster loan. This is eligible for any business that has experienced a drop in revenue and is specifically designed to cover losses between your 2019 and 2020 year. There's obviously a lot of a lot of businesses were negatively affected by COVID-19 and were closed and various other things. People weren't buying as much. So this is a loan program, still active and available. It's online through the sba.gov website. It is a very easy application process. It's about 5 or 6 pages of information you have to deliver. And it's basically going to be based on your losses, again, between 19 and 20 in the area of revenue, okay? For a for-profit business, the interest rate's 3.75 fixed. For nonprofits, 2.75 fixed. 30 years, no prepayment penalty, okay? Loans over 25,000, of course, will be secured by hopefully equipment or something of that nature. And there's a $100 deduction fee for actually doing the UCC filing. Most of these EIDLs for small businesses, though, that we've worked with, especially recently, are under $25,000. And there's your eligibility requirements. Again, you have to have under 500 employees, which, you know, or fit small business SBA.gov size standards for your type of business. But again, most of us qualify for that. We don't have 500 employees. All right, this is a new kind of updated program. Several people that I am working with personally got the email from SBA wondering, first of all, if it was a scam, okay? So there's a lot of emails flying around, be careful. We'll warn you now. These emails are coming from sba.gov. Anybody that got an EIDL advance last year, I always suggest you check not only your regular emails, but your spam folders, because you may be invited to apply for the difference between the original, say you were a sole proprietor. Excuse me. Originally, the offer was for $10,000 advance grant. Then, because of the volumes, it changed the rules changed to 1,000 per employee. So if you were a sole proprietor like I am, if I had applied, I would have got $1,000, not 10. So it was like kind of a bummer. Well, with all this new funding that just came up, they're offering the option to gain back the missing. Say it was, well, you got 1,000, you should have got 10, that missing 9,000. We had a client of ours just received her $9,000 worth of advance grant that she got the $1,000 on in April of last year. That's something. She processed the request on the email, went in and signed her 4506T document, which allows the SBA to pull your transcripts from the IRS of your tax returns. She got notification of the approval and the check went into her bank account 2 or 3 days later. And this is a grant, people. You don't have to pay this back. It's sweet. So check your emails. You're being invited. This is an invitation only. You cannot apply for it outside. Okay? You cannot apply for it outside. And again, only one submission, targeted idle advance, carefully reviewed bank account information, be sure to submit 100% correct. If you have questions about resubmission, again, we can help you at SBDC. Also, they have that application questions there, targeted advance at sba.gov. That's an email address. And if approved, you'll receive an email. And of course, it'll automatically be deposited in your bank account. So make sure you haven't changed numbers and done anything like that in that last year. Shuttered Venue. This is for the movie theaters, zoos, aquariums, museums. This is a specific specialized grant program. I know here in Redding, California, we have several theater groups that are applying for this. We have a big civic center that holds shows and plays and that kind of thing. And they've all applied for the SVOG grant. Again, specifically designed for closed venues. And this is the latest new program. This one started a couple of weeks ago. I think we're in week 2, I think, aren't we? Yeah, we're in week 2. This one's designed for restaurants and food trucks and hot dog stands, and it covers a lot of ground, okay? A lot of ground. And the thing that's cool about this particular grant program is that, well, they're calling it a fund, but basically if you use the money for all the appropriate reasons, again, you won't have to pay this back. This one will require an audit. In other words, they'll give you a list of what you're going to probably use the money for, and then you got to show that you used it for those reasons. Depending on the dollar amount given, they may dole it out. Okay, they may give you, like, if you got 100,000, they may go 25,000, 25,000, 25,000, and dole it out as you spend it. Distinctly possible. And you have, this is nice. I think it's March of 23. You have to use the money. So you got like almost 2 years now to use the money. Okay. So wineries, distilleries, wine tasting rooms. Okay. It's an online portal application again. Lots of questions to be answered. So again, you have questions about that restaurant grant fund, excuse me, go ahead and give SBDC a call. We'll walk you through it as well. We have a lot of restaurants that have applied for that locally also. Now, the program 7A504, microloans. Here's what there's a relief program going that will basically pay for your loan payments up to a certain amount. Okay. We always say check with your lender. Okay. With these debt relief questions. So whoever you have your 504 through, if you have a 7A through Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Cornerstone Community Bank up here, contact your bank and they'll walk you through the steps to make sure that you're covered under this program. There have been a lot of people that we know that have been really helped by the fact that the government's paying their payments for several months. And they're actually making payments to the, to make the payment on the loan. These are not deferral programs. So it's a pretty cool deal. Make sure to ask about it for sure if you have one of these 7A or 504s. All right, so there's kind of covers all the little steps here for the various big ones. There's also in California, we don't have it on here, but there's a drought disaster loan program. So farm communities, farmers themselves, anybody that's having to deal with water shortages, there are some localized disaster funding programs for them as well. And we can help guide you through those also if you happen to be in the farming category. And again, we kind of I alluded to it earlier, but watch out for scams. I'll tell you what, people are trying to take advantage of people, trying to get information about, your social security number, your bank account number, and they're not really who they say they are. So if you have questions, here's some contact information capabilities to call. There's some hotlines. Let people know about what happened to you. If it doesn't say sba.gov, okay, you got to watch. You really got to watch where these emails are coming from, okay? If there's any questions, we've also fielded those as well. No problem in fielding them for you, okay? Tell you whether they're real or are they Memorex. Important to cover that as well. Any questions so far? Nope. All right. All right, the SBA 504 program. Otherwise known as one of the best kept secrets in the borrowing community. Why? Because it's not really a highly advertised loan program, okay? Technically, the 7A program, which we will be covering next month during this series, is the most often used SBA loan type. The 7A program, unlike the 504, is a guarantee program. In other words, SBA is not lending you the money. They're protecting the bank. The bank is then lending you the money in case something happens to you and you can't make the payments. 504 program is specifically designed to buy your building. Cool program, okay? Loan is for the purchase and build out of owner-occupied business properties. Now, wonderful. So if you're tired of leasing, if your lease payment is going up constantly, and you decided, gee whiz, I'm paying this owner all this money and I don't have a lot of advantage, okay? You're tired of not being able to maybe make changes to your building because you're leasing it. You can't make changes without approval of the owners, okay? This is great. This is a superb program. You must be 51% owner of the building. In other words, you have to occupy 51% of it, and you could lease out the rest. So you could have office space. As long as you're in 51% of that, lease out the rest, you're making money on your own place, huh? That's also cool. Could include equipment as part of this loan program. Obviously, the biggest benefit to a borrower, besides the long-term fixed rate loan, that's one of them, is the lower down payment requirements. The down payment requirements on the 504, and again, I was a lender back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, so I can tell you from my long experience in the field, the credit field, This is the lowest down payment program potentially of any business loan program you'll ever have. Okay, you'll ever have. And the other thing is it offers part of your loan at a long-term fixed rate. And right now, although the rates have climbed a smidge, okay, since the first of the year, again, since I've been in the field 47 years now, still low. This is low crazy, okay? Low crazy. Nice to take advantage of a 3-point-some% fixed rate long-term loan as part of this loan program. So here's a nice graphic as to how, in most cases, this loan program works. Okay, the structure of it. You end up with 2 loans. So that's kind of, maybe some people might consider that kind of a drawback. You got 2 things to track. All right. But in many cases on a standard office building complex, doctor's office, medical office, attorney office, CPA office, something that's got a bunch of different office spaces in it, maybe a little entryway, whatever. 10% down for the buyer. That's sweet, huh? Save some of your cash for other things that may be important. You don't have to come up with 20, 25% down in many cases on a standard office complex building. 40% would then be, in this case, Superior California Economic Development, our original presenter, Bob, and Ryan, his group, also called a CDC. They would put together the SBA portion of the loan, which is the longer term portion of this project. So 40% of this project would be 20 or 25 years in length, no balloon payment, at a fixed rate. And the fixed rate currently is below 4. Below 4. Okay. So that's cool because it allows you to have a guaranteed payment, at least on that 40% portion, for a long period of time. Then 50% of this thing for the 100% total is the bank's loan. Okay. The bank loans historically are, they call it amortized. The payment would be based on a 20 or 25-year payback. Makes the payment smaller, right? But normally have a 3 to 5 year renew clause or balloon. So that 50% of this project, the rate would not last the entire time of the 20 or 25 years, right? The 40% would. So my suggestion always is, what do you pay first? If you had a choice, you pay off the 50%, don't you? Because this thing going to adjust. Who knows what the rates are going to be 3 to 5 years from now? Probably not as low as they are today, okay? Historically speaking. And I remember in 1980s, the mid 1980s, when interest rates were 18, 17% for a house. So yeah, it can happen. It can happen. So what you do is you attack this loan first, pay it down as quickly and as much as possible, and leave this one alone. Leave that one just kind of percolating over there because it's long-term fixed rate, see? Pretty sweet. So the benefits to the business, the owner itself. So it's the owner's best friend. Protection against rising rates on that 40%. You betcha, because that's a fixed rate long-term, isn't it? Access to capital markets without high cost. That's how these loan rates are set. Increase your owner's ROI, okay, on the property purchase. It's a great way to get into the market. When I was working with Superior California Economic Development, the 2 years I worked for them, 2.5 years I worked with them. Sometime during the purchase process, the house payments, the business payments were smaller than their current rent. That's something. Okay. Some people were saying the same things about buying homes recently. the rents were so high, it was cheaper to buy them, okay? Depending on if you could afford the thing. Same thing with these. You could end up with a lower payment than you had when you were leasing or renting that same property. It's amazing. Obviously, the lower down payment requirements for you, below market interest rates. Like last year, David and I it was in the 2.5 range for the SBA portion of this loan. 2.5, nuts. It's in the 3s now, but still low. And again, no balloon payment on the SBA SCED portion. So that's obviously perfect. Benefits to the lender. May be able to qualify easier, okay? Because again, this is a set program. It's backed by the SBA and the federal government. So it may be easier for you as a buyer to qualify, especially if you don't have enough cash to come up with 20 or 25% down on the building purchase, right? So that's always good. The CDC or SCED in our case up here will manage the application process for the lender. In other words, they'll do a lot of the legwork that the lender normally would do because they're running 2 applications, right? Application for the SBA, application for the bank. But in this particular case, the CDC does most of the paperwork, getting your tax returns, your credit reports pulled, they'll pull them, give them a copy to the bank. Everybody is happy. They can do it simultaneously, approve both sides at the same time. In our particular area up here in Shasta, Trinity County, our CDCs are well known by all the financial institutions in our area from large to small. So, and there's only 2 CDC members up here. So whether you're Bank of America, Wells Fargo, or Cornerstone, or Golden Valley, or Tri-Counties, everybody knows Bob and Ryan and the young lady that runs the other CDC, because they're the only ones in town that can process these things. They're approved directly with SBA. Our local SBA office, believe it or not, is Sacramento. That's our closest SBA office. They work directly with them at these CDCs, so they know how to cross the T's, dot the I's. That saves a bunch of time, money, you name it, headaches, okay? Reduce hassle paperwork, we talked about that. Shows the lenders really care about the clients, because if they're gonna bring up the 504, technically there's a little more time in processing these loans. I'm not gonna lie, okay? Now, let me give you a quick history lesson. We got a few minutes, we're a little ahead of schedule here. So here's a little history lesson. I made SBA loans back in the late 70s and early 80s. Yeah, we had to package all this stuff up and ship it. We had to mail it down to the local office. And at that time, I think, I'm trying to remember, it may have been San Francisco. We had to mail these to, certified, or, return receipt. We had a package of stuff about that big. We didn't have these little computers. We didn't have Zoom. We didn't have internet. We didn't have that stuff. It could take 6 months, and I'm not lying, to process a loan like this back in the day, okay? It's still a little longer now, but it's like 2 months, 3 months. They only do the loan rates once a month. So the loan rate has to clear before they can fund, okay? So there's a slight delay. But in purchasing real estate, especially for business, there's a delay anyway. Just to get your building appraised this day and age for a commercial appraisal could take 30 days, 45 days. So what's happened is the time, because of these lovely computers, the time for the government and the SBA has shrunk, while the other times have stayed relatively the same. So they almost meet in the middle. So 60 days, 90 days if you have a build out, because you can actually build out on these loans too. In other words, you're going to get the building, but you need some other stuff to be done internally. walls put up, carpets, whatever you're going to do, changes to the restrooms. That can all be included, but that's construction. So that takes time too, right? So, but it's a heck of a lot better than the 1980s, I'll tell you that right now, okay? Got an interesting side note. And can keep the process centralized, assist with relationships with a client. I can tell you right now that Ryan, a fantastic guy, Ryan Richardson. He works with Bob Nash over at Superior California Economic Development. And that kid, I call anybody under, 50 a kid, but he works his tail off for you. I'll tell you that right now. Customer service, #1. And his knowledge as a certified SBA 504, a process lender, top notch, okay? Answer questions, make sure that your T's again are crossed, your I's are dotted. It is an asset for us up here in Shasta County to have those people in the community. I'll tell you that, no doubt. All right, so I think that's pretty much the ball game. Yep, it is. So what other questions? Let's see, we got some chat questions here.
Can you go over the difference between 504 and 7A real quick, Joe?
Oh yeah, let's do that. That's a good one. And again, please join us next month for the 7A, because we're going to do this the second Tuesday of June. And guess what? We're going to cover 7A on that one. I'll give you a basic overview. 504s, real estate related, okay? Yeah, you could have some big pieces of equipment attached to the thing, but it's mostly real estate related. So you have a building and you got dirt underneath, okay? So you have a real tangible asset. 7A program is really designed for kind of everything else for the most part. They can do some real estate on the 7A, but they'd rather convert it to the 504. It also depends on the dollar amount. A 504 loan for buying a building works best at about 400,000 and above, okay? And they really like 500,000, $500,000 and above. Because of the cost factors involved, there's fees. That's one of the drawbacks of a 504, I suppose you might say, is there's a 2% fee, to the 2.5% fee to the SBA. So there's some fees. But the 7A program is really for every other thing. It could be cash flow, it could be working capital, equipment, inventory. Okay, 7A. It could be staff up, trying to you can get some new staffing set up. Okay. So the 7A program, again, is for just about everything else. The easiest way to kind of recognize the difference. 504 is real estate, 7A is everything else, okay? They also have a micro loan. I think micro loans are still around 25,000 or less, but most lenders won't go SBA on a micro loan because, again, of the processing time and fees. They'd rather do that in-house. But with all the lenders I know of in Shasta County, since this is designed specifically for Shasta Trinity County, all the lenders that I kept in touch with, because I used to be a banker right here in Redding. I've been here 25 years now, are wonderful people. They're going to look at the options available to you individually at your bank first and offer you options. No one's out there that I know of to make a fast buck. So that's cool. That's cool for everybody. So let's see, basic difference 7A used for working capital. Yep, there we go.
I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, can you see this other one? I have land with buildings and want to build a new building. Can a 504 work for this?
Maybe. Yes and no. Okay. The best way to get that particular question answered is two options. One, work through your local SBDC. We'll go ahead and bird dog that for you. Or if you're in Shasta County, you could actually call Superior California and talk to Ryan. Ryan knows the answer like that, or your banker will. So whoever you bank with will also have that answer. But yes, it might work. Now, a lot of variables there. They also had, and I don't know if it's still available, sorry about not having this answer today, but they were doing a refinance program. So you could refinance your existing building loan, perhaps with a 504. People say, why would I do that? Well, lower interest rates. There you go. That's the big one, right? So with interest rates rising, this probably will not work for very long. So if you're going to think about refinancing your existing building loan, oh, by the way, if you already have a 504, you can't refinance. It won't be easy to refinance to a new 504. But if you have a non-504 building loan, check it out with your lender and find out if it's eligible. Because there's eligibility requirements. I remember when I was working for Ryan, there was one of these situations came up. A guy had a gas station, okay? Some gas stations are allowed. Some gas stations are not. It depends how you get your gas, what your lease options are for the gasoline. There's all sorts of things. Ryan knows it off the top of his head like this. It's kind of cool. But I know he did a Chevron station, for instance, up north of town here in Reading. And, you know, they had to have certain things. Okay, you can't have too big of a convenience store on site. All sorts of rules, right? Some storage building facilities are allowed, right? So if you have a bunch of storage buildings, some of those are allowed. But again, there's rules and regulations. So it's easier to ask Ryan and us and your banker to find out if your particular situation is applicable.
I don't see any more, but we did put a link in the chat for you to fill out a survey that will tell us how we did.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Joe, I'm going to let you talk about that because I am hearing tremendous feedback. Go ahead.
Oh, are you okay? Yes. So please fill out the survey. It's at www. It's in the chat. Surveymonkey.com. And what that does is tell us, you know, what you like, what you didn't like, and what you would like us to do. One thing that Zoom has done, I was talking to David and Emily earlier today. Boy, has it opened up a whole avenue of communication we didn't use before. COVID did this, you know. So there was a silver lining. We were able to get this information out to you. You're sitting in your own home or office somewhere listening to this training, and you don't have to drive. You got your cup of coffee, your favorite beverage and food, and you can sit there and listen to us give you this information. It's pretty cool. Otherwise, you used to have to come in here and sit down. We've got desks and, you know, bottled water and all that jazz. So there is a benefit. Also, this last slide gives you a ton of information. First of all, our location. We've only been here a couple of months. 1305 Sacramento Street. We moved to downtown Reading. Pretty exciting. And we again serve Shasta, Trinity County. There's Emily and our phone number, Emily's contact information. She's our admin. She is wonderful. She is absolutely our right arms, David and my right arm, because she takes care of setting appointments and getting us to you, okay? There's our website, www.sbdcsc.org. That's where you sign up for services. And so sign up for our free services, okay? If you want to find out where your local SBDC office is, americassbdc.org, you can find it. There's SBDCs all over the place, okay? I think they're in Puerto Rico and whatever. They're all over. They're all over. And here is our social media contacts information. We're on Facebook. We tweet. We're on LinkedIn. And please especially go to our YouTube channel. That will be where this taping goes to, is to our YouTube channel. It will be archived there along with all the rest. I teach a credit class, a understanding your financial statement class, an easy tax class, how to start a business class. Now this one will be added. We've got Lonnie on there. We've got all our educators on there that have taught. Dave's on there. And the one thing we really want to ask you to do, besides the Survey Monkey, is subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're at, I think, 82 subscribers the other day. I was looking. And we need 100 so we can get rid of this last number here on the on the sign in for our YouTube, that UCYG7, whatever. We'll actually be able to actually put Shasta-Cascade in there, and or Shasta SPDC will become our new handle. But hey, we're only 18 short, so be one of those 18 to subscribe, and you'll be able to watch all our webinars we post on an ongoing basis. Again, we'll send you a copy of the slides, so you'll have these. Link to the recording, we'll send you that as well. And obviously a link to the survey. But as soon as you can, we'd really be pleased if you did the survey and got that information into our system. Thank you all very much for attending. If there are no more questions today, please sign up at your local SPDC office for one-on-one consulting. We're here to help. And we're paying for it with our tax dollars. Might as well use them, man. That's the way I look at it. When I started my business 10 years ago, I didn't know this place existed. Bummer, you know? It's like, well, I didn't, you know, so now I've learned a lot being in business for myself since I kind of started and winged it, right? You wing it, and you didn't know this place existed. We've been around 40 plus years. Pretty cool. All righty. Well, if there's no more questions pending around, thank you all for coming. Thanks, David, for handling the background, and you all have a great day.